We have our full team of the ABC15 investigators here to take your calls. We're going to start the phone bank off right now. The number that you want to call is 855-522-1515. And Dave, tell us a little bit about what we are hoping to hear from our viewers today through the phones.
Well, we want to hear what people think we want to hear what people think we should be looking into. I mean, from the big stories to the small stories. I don't think people realize how often we get tips that people think maybe this is small or isn't something we'd care about, and it ends up turning into something really big. I mean, that's what our job is, to look into things. So if you know of a problem, if you're a whistleblower, if you've seen something going wrong in your neighborhood where you work with a government agency you're dealing with, we want to know about it because there's a good chance that it's something we'd be interested in too. So call us, please.
And really, we rely on a lot of tips for some of our very biggest stories. I did a story a couple of years ago that's continued on for now 2 years about red light running. And it came in as a tip from somebody who literally just said to us, if you made the yellow lights longer, would that cut down on the red light running and all these terrible crashes in Arizona? I'm like, oh, good idea. And so I started to call the cities, I started to talk with the experts, and I found out that many of the lights in Valley cities, the yellow lights, are shorter than what the industry standard says.
I mean, I got a tip back in 2012 about problems at the state hospital. I have not stopped reporting on the state hospital since that tip 11 years later. So, I mean, that started as something very narrow, very specific, and it has ballooned into more than a decade of coverage. So tips, they're a very vital part of what we do. So again, there are far more of you out there knowing what's going on in your community, and we want to hear from you. Let us know what we need to look into.
Dave, if it's all right, we're going to introduce you to some of the investigators and our producers right now. This is producer Kelsey, producer Joey, Zach Crenshaw is over here, anchor reporter Jen Kovaleski, our newest ABC15 investigator. There's Dave again. Ann Ryman here is our political watchdog, followed by Nicole Grigg. We call her our daily investigator. She literally will get a tip in the morning and track it down and often be able to report on it at 6 o'clock in the afternoon. And then over here, we have the Let Joe Know team. This is KJ and Joe Ducey. Of course, they handle a lot of our consumer complaints, frauds, scams, things like that. And they have a team of volunteers also behind them that help them do a lot of the work on those. So again, if you want to call in to the ABC15 Investigators phone bank, it is starting now. We've turned the phones on. We're starting a little early for our viewers here on the live stream. The number is 1-855-522-1515. And Dave, as you are doing this, what do you want to let tipsters know? You can remain anonymous if you call?
Yeah, I mean, we want to hear from everyone, right? So what we deal with a lot are people that are afraid to come forward. We don't want you to be afraid to call us. We know that sometimes people are calling in, they're victims of crimes. They're worried about what people might think of them, or they might have their jobs at risk. We take confidentiality very seriously, and we can kind of talk through the process to see if this is something we can help you with, ways that we can protect who you are if that's a concern. So don't let that stop you from reaching out to us, and we can kind of talk through the process to see if it's something you're comfortable with. But we need people on the inside of places to let us know what's going wrong, and it's vital to what we do. It's vital for keeping our government institutions, companies accountable. So give us a call, and if you're worried about staying anonymous, we can talk through that.
And again, if you do want to call in, the number is 1-855-522-1515. We'll be here until 7 o'clock tonight. After tonight's session, we are taking notes about everyone who calls in. Afterwards, we're going to compare notes. We're going to talk about if we've heard the same or similar stories from multiple people. We're going to talk about if there's any of these investigations that we can jump on right away. So your tip could literally be the ABC15 investigators' next big investigation. And we think that that's super important because what we're all about is talking to the community, finding out what's really important to them, righting those wrongs, getting the information that people need to make good decisions about their government leaders, holding the powerful accountable, and making sure that Arizonans are safe and protected. Again, the number to call in is 1-855-522-1515. I want to tell you a little bit more about one of our investigators here, Ann Ryman. Now, as our political government watchdog, what she does a lot of is she looks at Arizonans' safety and the issues that are affecting them, especially when it comes to government programs and boards and other authorities and how they're doing their jobs to protect us. One of her recent investigations had to do about worker safety and the ADOSH, which is the state worker safety program, and how they weren't doing as many inspections or issuing as many fines or as high of fines as they had done in previous years. She talked to several families who were very concerned about that. And there's been a change in leadership as well since Ann has started her reporting with there, and promises to do more inspections and to do more on enforcement. We also have Jen Kowaleski, who's here on the phone right now. She just last night did an investigation about Teslas and other electric vehicles, how if a certain battery dies inside the vehicle, not the main powering battery, but another battery that powers like the doors and the windows and the computer, things like that, that you can have difficulty getting in or out of the car. Talked to a man who got actually stuck in his car for a number of minutes, couldn't figure out how to get out. We talked a lot about where the safety exit latches are for those vehicles, trying to get more information out there to people so that they know before they ever get behind the wheel. Zach Crenshaw here recently nominated for a National Emmy Award for what he's been talking about child DCS and how they handled the YouTube mom case, which was a big case here with a adopted foster mom who had allegations of serious child abuse, and the missed steps and the missed opportunities to stop that sooner. So again, call the ABC15 investigators. We'll be here till 7 p.m., 855-522-1515, and see us on air between 5 and 7 right here on ABC 15.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.